On the phone here, I have John Pohl. He's our head of marketing and investor relations, lives in Chicago. Eliza's our executive assistant. JP, why don't you go ahead and kick it off and we'll get rolling.
Okay, here's the agenda for our October 28th office hours. We'll start with a quick status update on Fund 1, and then a quick summary of the current portfolio companies, the original 3. We'll be talking about our latest investment. I'll say a little bit about future investments that we expect in the weeks and months ahead. And we'll talk briefly about how easy it can be for investors who don't, for whatever reason, feel like writing a check at this point to invest in our Fund 1 using their existing IRA or 401k. I'll say a few words about how you can help us spread the word about Boyd Street Ventures, and then we'll take questions and have some answers. James, back to you.
I wanted to just give an update on Fund 1. As you know, we launched the fund January 1st of this year. And our goal is to raise and deploy $50 million over the next 5 years. And so our goal is to raise $25 million in 2022 and $25 million in 2023, largely to bring innovations out of OU in the OU ecosystem, student, faculty, staff on campus, and our alumni and friends of alumni. So it's we opened up our ecosystem, unlike some of the other alumni venture funds or university connected venture funds. We did just a little bit differently. We do lean heavily on our model, and it's a hybrid of private equity and venture capital. And we'll talk more about that in future office hours with the venture studio concept, which is on campus in our headquarters, and where we are taking ownership and active management in companies as operators with the CEO and their teams. And as I talk through a couple of the companies today, you'll get a flavor of a couple of those companies that, we're going beyond just writing a check. The one unique thing that we have, and it's been clear in all of the conversations we've had with potential investors and companies, is what we call our de-risking model. And so we collaborate with OU. It's a private firm, but we have tight connections and partnerships with OU, specifically the Office of Innovation and Corporate Partnerships. And that's basically the technology transfer office for OU, where all the technology goes through the IP license, patent work is done there. In addition to the Chief Innovation Office doing venture competitions and going to find those innovations, and corporate partnerships working to build, private public partnerships with the corporate world for research dollars. We are a top research institution. And one of the advantages that being connected with OU is OU spends over $300 million a year in research, compared to the other 2 major universities in the state, University of Tulsa and Oklahoma State, which combined spend about $90 million a year in research. You can see that significant of what we're doing. And the corporate partnerships group is growing that number significantly with a number of new programs. The iHub, or the Innovation Hub, was founded and started in the end of 2016, 2017, effectively by the Loves family, which is headquartered in Norman. That's the Loves truck stops that are across the country. And we have innovation. We have a startup accelerator, 12-week startup program. And this group works with any founder on campus to help them get non-dilutive funding. So they pretty much can go through incubator startup program within the Innovation Hub and work through, getting millions of dollars of non-dilutive funding from grants that the Innovation Hub helps them to do. And then finally, the Center for Creative Economic Wealth, or CCEW, it's essentially our on-campus McKinsey consulting shop. It's a management consulting shop that uses interns, juniors and seniors, very smart students, roughly 3 to 4 of those a semester working in Boyd Street Ventures They do all of the investment memos, the financial analysis. We coach them up on that. So, we've got our internal de-risking mechanism. So innovations that come off of campus, they go through the Office of Innovation and Corporate Partnerships for the disclosure IP. Then they have the accelerator, incubator, startup programs in the Innovation Hub, and then the management consulting group with the Center for Creative Economic Wealth, does everything from business plans and commercial plans, market research, product market fit, proof of concept. So they do all of those. We're going to make six to 10 investments a year. By the end of this year, by December, we'll have made about 7 investments. I think that's where we're on track to out of our fund. And then one thing of note in the fund, the fund itself donates 10% of its returns back to OU Foundation. That actually goes into these 3 entities there, Office of Innovation, the Innovation Hub, and CCEW. So I wanted to go through some of the portfolio companies and just give you a high-level overview. So one of our first investments was Ardley, a company that's based out of Northern Virginia. It's a fintech platform for the mortgage industry, and they're scaling up pretty quickly. They've been adding new customers. We had our third quarter review with the CEO that says now is the time to be bullish and double down on what we're doing. So they're scaling up aggressively, but that's one of our investments that we're keen on. The second investment we made is Mlog, and this is an app for the gig economy to help 1099 workers with managing expenses and tax management services. This particular company came through us through an OU connection, so not an alum, but this person worked with Jeff Moore, who's the co-founder of Boyd Street Ventures at McKinsey. They were both junior partners at McKinsey, for about 10 years together. So super smart. We like what they're doing. They're scaling up. This company is actually in our venture studio as one of our first venture studio companies that we invested in. But we also have 4 initiatives that we're working with Mlog on, using university resources and our students out of the ICCEW, the McKinsey consulting shop that we have on campus. And so we're doing 2 app development initiatives, one in the business school with marketing, one in law school with tax planning and InfoSec. So this company it's early stage. They're building out their platform. Their channel strategy is working with the distribution companies that sell products and services using 1099 workers, like Princess House, doTERRA Oils, and they've got a number of contracts that they have with a significant amount of 1099ers. This company, we've also connected with one of our LPs. We have a bank as an LP, a regional bank, and this company needs banking services because they've got thousands of 1099 workers that are on their platform that they need banking services for. So there's a tight connection there with one of our LPs. So we're really excited about this particular company scaling up. The next company is Luna. A little further along, Luna just completed a Series B in June, which we participated in, digital health platform. So think of Uber for physical therapists. Company's been on the market for about 4 years. It's been touted as the fastest growing physical therapy clinic nationally, and has earned many awards, but the exceptional award from Medicare. They'll do nearly $30 million in revenues this year. Pretty confident with this company. I work as an advisor to Chris Dugan, who's the CEO. I placed the CFO into the company in 2020 and the chief commercial officer in the company. So they're scaling up pretty aggressively. We're bringing them. I brought them into OU Health. And so Luna is going to plant a flag in Oklahoma in Q1. So I met with OU this week, and we've had several meetings with OU and Luna. They're just getting through kind of the I's and T's and working with legal on the
All made up.
building structure, and then we'll get them. They'll launch the Luna platform in Oklahoma in early Q1. So we're pretty excited about this one. This is likely going to be our first exit. So our latest investment, on October 13th, we had our investment committee meeting. We went through 8 different companies. This is one of the 8. This is OUIP. It's out of the architecture school on campus. It's pretty simple technology. It's a clamp that clamps the solar panels in the field. And you see in the solar market, I read in the Wall Street Journal last night that the global solar market for everything, panels, manufacturing, installation, is over a $350 billion market today and growing. This particular market for just the installation of these fasteners on the panels, solar panels in the field, is about $1.5 billion market and growing. That's just for this consumable. The way the panels are put together now, the ones you see in the field, they're put together with basic nuts and bolts that fall out from wind shear or ground shaking. And our architecture school created this clamping device and the tool to actually clamp and hold the panel in place, and it can be retrofitted on other panels. The cool part about it is that it saves about half the cycle time of installation of the panels in the field, and reduces the cost significantly, over 50%, from what's currently being done today. So we're pretty excited about this. We're leading this investment. It's a seed round. We're going to close it in December. This particular company is going to be headquartered in Boyd Street Ventures. We're kind of putting, chips in the middle of the table on this one for Boyd Street Ventures, and we'll be active participants and owners of this company going forward.
Well, with these guys, how close are we to being an investor where we get to input into how they get bigger, in terms of all the solar panel manufacturers? That was the manufacturers I was really thinking about. How do you partner with them? How do you work with the installers, which many times are separate from the manufacturers? It seems like it's a little bit of complexity in that network of solar panels.
To answer the first part of your question, we will have a board seat. The CEO lives in New York City, and he's a very smart young guy, Dartmouth MBA, worked at Deloitte for almost 10 years. So he's got that mental model that that the consultants do, Deloitte, McKinsey, et cetera.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The 2 challenges we're going to have are that we are getting lots of play at all the trade shows. So there's 2 sides of it. There's the panel installation companies that want this, and then there are the panel companies that manufacture the panels that want to manufacture to the specs of using this particular device.
Okay.
So we're talking to both of those. And to your point about how Boyd Street Ventures will be involved in it, Jeff and I are actively engaged in this. That's why this particular company is going to sit on campus in Boyd Street Ventures headquarters, and we're going to run and operate the company with the founder. The opportunity is there. They've got a strong pipeline of customers that are ready to go. So we needed 2 things. The initial investment was a seed round of $3 million, but we needed working capital. So we pushed it down to $1.5 million for the seed round, and worked with one of our LPs to do a working capital line of credit, which is cheaper than venture money. We'll do a $250,000 to $1 million working capital line of credit for manufacturing. We also looked at factoring on receivables, but that didn't make sense. And so BSV will be the lead on this seed round. We'll close it out but very quickly, I think we're going to have to move to either a bridge before Series A, or depending on how well we execute over the next 6 months, we'll move to a Series A sometime later this year. There is a strong pipeline of additional products that are on the bench in the architecture school in this category. So, I mean, we can make a pretty strong business out of this, consumables market, and get this to a point where we can exit in, between 3 to 5 years to a mega company, because there's a boatload of money being put in this segment.
Yeah.
One of the things, and I'll just say this real quick and then we'll move on. So there's a lot of benefits that the state of Oklahoma has thrown out. One of the ones that was recently put into law was a act called Remote Oklahoma. So we can recruit people to Norman and help pay for relocation expenses and get them connected in Norman, and the state reimburses us for that. It was a program that started in Tulsa with the George Kaiser family called Remote Tulsa, where they were basically moving hundreds of people from all over the country that were remote workers, and they paid for their relocation and gave them a stipend, and some other benefits. But you have to have connectivity programs and networking programs in the city to do that. And so we're gearing up to do that in Norman with Boyd Street Ventures to take advantage of that Oklahoma state law. In addition to BSV Solar, we have 3 additional investments we looked at. Both are in life sciences. One is actually a nanoparticle out of our chemistry department of those 3 that we're looking at. And then we've got over 100 companies in our pipeline. We've got, from a life sciences perspective, and you guys know, we have the Stevenson Cancer Center, and the senators and Department of Defense officials were there. And so that's a really huge area for us. And then financial services. So we've got in our CRM several hundred companies that we're looking at frequently, but there's, we've got 100 or so on our watch list that we're looking at pretty regularly with Boyd Street Ventures and the OU team. So investing in the fund through our fund administrator is pretty simple. It's like transferring your money from Fidelity to Schwab or Citi to Fidelity. And that's how that's managed. So we have that available for, our alumni that want to invest.
One of the things that we're really hoping for is support from all of our investors and partners to help spread the word. We're doing some pretty interesting things here, as James has just discussed, and a lot of people will be interested in investing once they find out about it. So we particularly want to reach out to fellow alums and friends of alums. Diversifying portfolio is probably, or arguably, as important now as it's ever been. So because we are so different at what we do and the way we do it, by definition, anybody who invests in Boyd Street Fund 1 is diversifying their portfolio. It's also a great way for alums and Oklahomans to support OU and the state of Oklahoma. The other thing that we're asking for is for anybody who's involved with us in any way to follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. That certainly helps get the word out as well.
Want to open it up, and any other questions, thoughts, comments?
Yeah, this is very helpful. I'm kind of curious what the fund's initial capital to each of the 4 deals.
One is a pre-seed, which, I think the Ardley and the MLOG are both around the $250,000 range.
Okay.
Luna was 300,000.
Okay.
And we could have put more into Luna. That was a Series B, at the time, but we made the decision that we would write checks and deploy capital as we were raising it. So we made those investments in the early part of our fundraising campaign. BSV Solar, I'll talk about that one because we signed the term sheet. I signed it 2 days ago, but that's a $1.5 million seed that Boyd Street Ventures is leading, and we'll lead that. We'll bring in some additional investors to round out the 1.5 million. But we'll be the lead investor on that. And we will, and all of our investments, and that's the reason we're only going to do, actually 6 to 8 investments a year, is because we want to keep dry powder, because we'll keep investing in those companies. Our motto is to, not only invest, but be active partners with our investments to help them grow.
Okay. So Ardley and MLog and Luna were stewarded by other lead investors.
Yes.
Okay.
We took Ardley to Cortado in Oklahoma City was the lead investor, but we took that to Cortado.
Got it.
It was in early innings for BSV.
Yep.
We weren't, if we were 6 or 8 months down the path like we are now with BSV Solar, we may have led that particular investment. But one of our investment partners that are owned by a couple of OU guys, they led that round.
Gotcha. Okay.
Any other questions, comments, thoughts?
Are you linked with the alumni organization that's already doing their normal routine touch of alums?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So we are tightly connected with the OU Foundation, which owns the alumni. And we are connected with all of the colleges, all the deans of the colleges, the clubs on campus, is whether it's the clubs in the business school or fraternities or student government. We're connected to all of those, including the OU clubs of Phoenix, San Diego, New York, Chicago, etc. So we connect to all of those. Because we're a private company and we're not connected to the university, we don't have access to the OU database. However, we connect with the deans of all the colleges, and they will send communications out to their alumni on our behalf. So, for example, the College of Arts and Sciences has the biggest alumni database with almost 80,000 people. They will send emails on our behalf to their membership. All of the deans also put us in their newsletters, so the alumni see us. And then the OU Foundation, which owns the official database. So there's two points of entry there with the OU Foundation. And it's largely because I've been connected with OU and OU Foundation since 2005, and they know me. They will send emails out on our behalf. They won't give us the database.
Yeah, absolutely.
They'll send emails out on our behalf. They put us in the newsletter. They feature Jeff, my partner, and I in the September OU Foundation newsletter. They're planning to feature us in the OU magazine in Q1 of what we're doing. And so we're getting traction there. And then I've been on the OU alumni board called President's Associates since 2008. I've been chair and vice chair, and I'm still on the board. We started prepping a new platform 2 years ago called OU Connection, which is basically the LinkedIn for OU. And so we're going to be migrating, and I say we, OU, is going to be migrating all alumni to this platform over the next couple of years. It was very quietly launched last summer, and they just hired a new director to run that program and build out content. And it's largely for the alumni community to connect and provide mentorship and recruiting and finding jobs. And it's really kind of the LinkedIn for OU, and eventually all of OU alumni database will push to this platform. Boyd Street Ventures is the only non-OU entity currently on OU Connection. And we've been on there for, I don't know, Eliza, JP, 6 or 8 months.
Yep, about 6
on
months.
that platform. So as OU builds that out, we're there front and center. So while we don't have access to the database, and we're a private company, we're kind of, on the inside. All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Good
everybody.
luck
Take
at-
care.
Okay.
All right.
you.
Have a great
Yep.
weekend.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
All
Take
right.
care, everybody.
Bye-bye.